Welcome back to Al Chapo Sports, everyone's least favorite sports show where we do the thinking so you don't have to. Back at it again after week 6, we've got another edition of NFL Top 10. Let's get right into it, starting with the Cleveland Browns. If you beat the best, you're at least going to find yourself on the list of the best. Cleveland beat the 49ers, who were previously undefeated and the consensus best team in the NFL. So that's an impressive win, especially with as many injuries as Cleveland is dealing with. And Cleveland could honestly be a dark horse candidate for the playoffs. I'm not just talking wild card here. They could steal their whole division because the Bengals look rough, the Steelers are pretty ineffective, and the Ravens, that's the biggest test, honestly, the Ravens. They're pretty hit and miss. The Ravens are better so far, and they've played the Ravens and lost. But Cleveland could still snag out the division. They are definitely a playoff contender, and they are definitely top 10 material this week at least. Moving on to number 9, we've got the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys beat the Chargers on Monday Night Football. The Chargers are a very solid team. I have a whole lot of respect for them. I think they're doing great things. That being said, they did lose to the Dallas Cowboys, who, for all their faults, all the issues the team has going on, mainly Dak Prescott, they still find a way, right? They find a way to eke out these games. I don't think Dallas is a juggernaut by any means. I think they could make the wild card. They're not going to get past the Eagles. And I don't know how high their ceiling is in the playoffs, but they are certainly a playoff caliber team as of right now. We'll see how the rest of the season shakes out. Moving on to number 8, we've got the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens got a win against the Titans. The Titans aren't that impressive of a team. They're in the bottomer tier of teams this season, I would say. That being said, the Ravens have a pretty decent record so far. They've had wins against decent teams. They've had a few hiccups along the way, for sure. But they're also pretty healthy. And when they're at their best, they're pretty damn good. So the Ravens, number 8, I think so far they're the front runner to win the NFC or AFC North, and they could make a decent run into playoffs, depending on how all the seeding and stuff works out. We'll see. Moving on, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are slowly building themselves back up to the top. They got a division win this week, which gold stars, bonus, cookie points, whatever you want to award them. If you get a division win, your odds of being in the playoffs go up exponentially. And they did it against the Colts, who I think are the consensus second best team in the Jacksonville Jaguars division. The Titans and the Texans each aren't really looking great. So Jacksonville beating the Colts makes this thing wide open. It opens up the lane for them to get into the playoffs. They are on the fast track. They're looking pretty strong in all areas. I think 1 or 2 more wins and I'll be convinced that this can actually be a credible threat to the teams higher on the list here. But as of right now, got to give Jacksonville their props. I don't think they're quite at that elite level yet. I think every team listed above them I have listed above them beats them, but you're looking good, Jacksonville. Moving on. I just lost my entire train of thought. We're going to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are the worst of the best teams. They beat the Giants this week, who are a pretty bad team. In fact, they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. So it's not that impressive of a win, and it's even less impressive when it's as close of a game as it was. So the Bills' biggest thing, their Achilles heel, is consistency. They are either the most dominant force in the NFL or they look pretty terrible. And it's not very consistent on which Bill is going to show up. If you get the best version of the Bills, they are a Super Bowl contender, no doubt about it. If you get the worst version of the Bills, you're looking at a pretty average team at best. We'll see how things shake out the rest of the season. I think they definitely get into the playoffs on a wild card. Moving on, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles, undefeated no more, and a loss to the Jets of all teams. The Jets are not a good team, and you lost to them. They broke your undefeated streak. I know this is all coming pretty negative on the Eagles for a top 10 list, but understand they were ranked in the top 3 previously, top 2 even. So they've taken a pretty big hit. Now I will say, one game doesn't define your entire season. One loss doesn't define your entire team. They will bounce back. They will be better. But the Eagles got to take a little dip in the rankings this week. Moving on to number 4, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs, who got a win this week against the Broncos, one of the worst teams in the NFL. But it is a divisional win, so it solidifies their already pretty much locked in playoff spot. These guys are probably the second most likely, if not first most likely team in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl. I think the team I have ranked above them is a bit more likely at this point in the season. But Kansas City is looking stronger, winning all their games. They struggle at times, which is concerning, but similarly to the Bills, when you get the best version of them, there's no denying them. So moving on to number 3, we've got the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are a juggernaut. I have nothing negative to say about the Dolphins at all. Their only loss was to the Bills, and the Bills that particular week were the good version of the Bills. So Miami's only loss is against a very strong team. All their wins have been quality. They are a force to be reckoned with. I think they are the AFC favorite for the Super Bowl. And this coming week, they have a game against the Eagles, which I will be watching. I think that's a very, very fascinating game. And it's going to be very telling about who really is the best at this point in the season. Last year, I predicted a Dolphins-Eagles Super Bowl. So in my mind, this game is kind of like a bit of a what-if scenario. Anyway, Miami, outstanding work. Got a great coaching staff, a great quarterback, great offensive weapons all across. It's not just one or two guys. I can't say it enough. Juggernauts. That's the word I think of when I think of the Miami Dolphins. Moving on to number 2, we've got the Detroit Lions. The Lions got a victory this week against the Buccaneers. And the Lions are certainly looking like the second most credible threat in the NFC. The Buccaneers were previously ranked in the top 10, so it's a solid win against a solid team. The Buccaneers are kind of in that same tier that Cleveland is right now, where they have everything it takes to make the playoffs, and they're a good team, no doubt about it. They're just not great. Regardless, we have seen this Detroit team beat great teams. They beat the Chiefs week 1. They have a single loss on their record, and I can't even quite recall who it was to. Regardless, Detroit is looking great. And this is the first time they've looked great in many, many years. So relish in this, Detroit fans. I am a fan of a team that rivals Detroit. I won't say who because I don't like to expose bias in these videos. But even from a rival team's fan, I'm kind of cheering for you, Detroit. I'm hoping you get the best out of this because you've been in the garbage for a long time. Moving on to number 1, we've got the 49ers. I feel a little icky putting the Niners in the number 1 spot, even though they lost this week to the Cleveland Browns. But, like I said, one game doesn't define your entire season. And it wasn't even a conference game. So, the 49ers will bounce back. Nobody goes in defeated in the NFL. This is just an off week, I think, for them. I don't think this defines them as a team. It maybe shows a game plan that other teams who play San Francisco could use. But, yeah, not much to be said here. They are still the absolute juggernaut of the NFC, despite losing to a solid Cleveland team. Anyway, that's who I have for my top 10, guys. Comment down below. Tell me who you think the 10 best teams in the NFL are today. I want to hear what you have to say. We can have a lively discussion about it. Like this video and subscribe for more football content. Guys, I will see you guys next time.